There's a bit of confusion out there with regards to where we're going with the new TAE. And from the industry, generally speaking, the idea of upgrading consistently has been a burden on a lot of people for either the right or the wrong reasons, depending on your point of view. There are two really big considerations. Firstly, the new qualification is deemed to be a successor to the current TAE40116, and that's a very important distinction. If we have a look at Schedule 1 in the RTO standards, you'll see here that if you have the TAE40116, then there should be no reason for you to get an upgrade to the new qualification simply to remain compliant as a trainer and assessor in the vet industry because of this word successor. Likewise, whereas some people have said it sounds murky, if you have the older 40110 and the two units that were required to keep compliant, which was the Assessment 502 unit and the LLN unit, then unless there's a change to the regulations themselves, you should also still remain compliant. So this is where we're going to see what might happen and therefore what you might need to prepare for going forward. In my opinion, changing regulations is something the government doesn't like to do unless it feels there's a need to do it. In this instance, I think the 40110 will be removed from the RTO standards altogether, with the 40116 or its successor being the standard for anyone in the vet industry. So that means getting an upgrade from the older 40110 to the new 40116 is probably a good idea right now. Holding off to get the new qualification next year may also be something you want to do, and that would be more of a personal decision. But as a compliance requirement, I don't think it's going to be necessary. So this is great news for those of you in the industry who just want to remain compliant. There's another part within the standards that you must also pay attention to, and that's your requirement of currency. So currency in the vet sector as well as your own industry currency. And you can prove currency in a number of ways. Getting a formal qualification is one great way of doing it. However, you can attend PD sessions, you can do single units of competency, you can attend conferences. There are so many more things you can do to uphold your currency in vocational education without worrying about specifically upgrading. So that leads us to one other option, which is maybe looking at a higher qualification like the current diplomas or the upcoming diploma with its various professionalized streams, if that's actually what's going to be endorsed going into next year. If you choose to get a diploma, then you cover this particular part in the schedule that talks about having a higher qualification in the vocational education sector, which means you can remain compliant as well as gain new qualifications, as well as keeping your currency up to date. So there's a few decisions for you to make if you want to. You can simply upgrade from the 40110 if you haven't already to the 40116, and that should be absolutely enough going forward according to the regulations as they are now and as I think they will be in the future. Holding on to just the 40110 and those two extra units, I don't think will be enough. The 40116 and its successors should therefore be the standard going forward for probably years to come. And then it's just up to you how you then maintain your professional currency. You can either go down the formal route or the informal route, but as long as you keep yourself that professional diary and keep your trainer matrix up to speed, then really that's all you need to worry about. So I'm here to share the good news. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not another requirement for another upgrade. This is actually a good time for the sector to look at itself and say, you know what, there's a lot in this that's actually good. We can always pick apart the things that we don't like, and coming up with this review later this year, of course, we're going to see that before it gets endorsed as to what the influence of the industry has been on the IRC and if any changes therefore go ahead. So they are my thoughts on where we're going with this, and hopefully I'll see you in maybe a PD session of some form, because I think really as trainers and assessors, if we want to be good at our jobs, professional development should just be something that we look forward to, not just something we do for compliance sake. I'll see you around.